Good morning and a warm welcome. Holly Shields here reporting to you for Kalkine TV live from Sydney. This is the Global Markets Roundup. And in today's shows we'll be exploring the latest updates from the equity, currency and commodity markets from across the globe. But first, let's have a look at yesterday's US market performance. The benchmark US indices closed higher on Thursday, July 29th, after the latest government data showed that the GDP grew marginally from the pre-pandemic peak of 2019 in the second quarter. MSCI's gauge of stocks across the globe gained 0.9%. US stocks ended higher yesterday, boosted by robust earnings and forecasts, while data showed the country's economy was above its pre-pandemic level. The S&P 500 was up 0.42%, the Dow Jones rose 2.44%, and the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.11%. And the small cap Russell 2000 ticked up 0.68%. In its latest economic report, the US Commerce Department said that the US GDP grew 6.5% year-on-year in the second quarter. That being said, the growth rate was below the expectation of average economists, who predicted around 8.5% in growth for the quarter. The stock markets appeared to have positively reacted to the report, as well as major indices, seeing a modest gain. Investors also took a cue from the recent Fed meeting that decided to keep the current interest rates unchanged at a near zero level. A major incentive for stock investors, and on top of that, the number of unemployed insurance claims fell by 24,000 to 400,000 in the week ending July 24 from the previous week's 424,000, indicating an improvement in the jobs market. The 4-week moving average was at 394,500, according to the Labor Department's data. And on Thursday's session, gains of technology stocks boosted the S&P 500 index. The financial and materials stocks led the segments, and 7 of 11 critical sectors of the index stayed in the positive territory, with communication stocks making up the bottom tier. More than 90% of the 195 companies of the S&P 500 have topped analyst expectations in the second quarter. American multinational automaker Ford Motors revenue climbed 38% to $26.8 billion in the latest quarter. The company said its earnings report on Thursday. And shares of the Blue social networking service we're all familiar with, Facebook, declined by over 4% at the market close. Online payment system PayPal second quarter revenue jumped by 17% to $6.24 billion. But the stock fell by over 6% by the market close. Moving on now to the futures and commodities market, gold futures were up 1.56% and silver saw an increase of 2.85%, while copper rose 0.91%. Brent oil traded increase at 0.96% and WTI crude was up 1.41%. Onto the bond market now, and the 30-year Treasury bond yields were up 0.55%, while the 10-year bond yields rose 0.63%. US dollars future index decreased by 0.44% as well. Well, that was the latest from the US markets, and now it's time for a short break, but stay tuned as I'll be crossing continents to check out the European market.
Property by Kalkine. Looking for a dream home? Well, that may sound easy, but it isn't. And from looking for a property that is the right fit for you in terms of cost and other factors, to zeroing down on the right mortgage plan, there are various aspects to consider. And for the latest slowdown in the property market, tune in on Kalkine TV with me, Sage. I will give the latest updates on the property market as well as real estate stocks to help you make the right decision. Keep watching Property with Kalkine.
Welcome back from the break. I'm Holly and you're watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney. This is the Global Markets Roundup. Let's now start with the European markets. Well, European stocks hit an all-time high on Thursday after strong earnings from commodity majors, aerospace company, Airbus, and a clutch of other companies. While data showing record high Eurozone economic sentiment in July added to the positive mood. The Pan-European Stocks 600 index rose 0.5%. Eurozone bond yields rose of the 5-month low on Thursday as investor sentiment reached new peaks. German inflation hit a 13-year high, and the European Central Bank reiterated its new strategy, which may mean temporary inflation offshoots. Germany's 10-year yield, the benchmark for the bloc, was set for its first daily rise this week, up about 1 basis point to 0.44% and touching its lowest since February, 0.465. The London markets traded in the green zone after the release of encouraging UK mortgage data. The British mortgage lending had shown a record surge during the June period, as it had shown a £17.9 billion increase from the prior month. FTSE 100 listed companies, Lloyds Banking Group shared went down by 1.24%, even after the company had swung into interim profit for the first half after reporting significant losses for the prior year's period. The Foodservice company Caterer Compass Group shares went up by 3.67% after the company had expected fourth quarter trading to remain at around 80 to 85% of the pre-pandemic level. And beverage alcohol company Diageo had delivered a robust growth in the profitability during the first half. However, it remained cautious regarding the near-term volatility. Furthermore, the shares grew by around 1.29%. Arms security and aerospace company BAE Systems rose by 2.18% after the company had increased the dividend and announced a £500 million share buyback program. And that is it for how the European market performed on yesterday's trade. It's now time for another short break, but I'll be right back. Closer to home, we'll be looking at Australian stock market performances. Tune in to stay updated while on the move.
We will tell you where the crypto craze has reached,
Where the property market is headed next.
what the world is doing to become more environmentally friendly.
Apart from tracking the daily market charter
Be on top of the latest news and announcements.
with Kalkine TV. Welcome back, I'm Holly and you're watching Kalkine TV live from Sydney. This is the Global Markets Roundup. Let's now have a look at the Asian and Australian share market performance. Starting with Japan's market, Japanese shares ended higher on Thursday as carmaker Nissan Motors and some semiconductor firms delivered surprisingly strong earnings, while investors took comfort in the US Federal Reserve's signal that it was in no rush to taper monetary policy support. Nikkei share average was up 0.73%, while the broader Topix closed at 0.41% higher. Onto the Chinese market now, and Hong Kong and Chinese stocks rebounded sharply on Thursday, led by the tech sector, after Beijing moved to soothe investor panic over mounting regulatory risks. China's blue chip CSI 1300 index gained 1.14% by the midday break, but still down by over 5% so far this week. The Shanghai Composite Index rose 1%, reducing the week's losses to 4.3%. Let's have a look now at the South Korean market, and Korean shares ended higher on Thursday as Beijing stepped up efforts to calm the recent rout in Chinese shares, while investors' reaction to the outcome of the US Fed's two-day policy meeting was muted. The The Kospi ended 0.18% higher, extending gains to a third straight session. Both the 1 and the benchmark bond yield rose on Thursday. Now for a look at the stocks closer to home, the Australian shares are on a higher note today, tracking strong cues from US peers. While an extended lockdown in New South Wales continued to exert pressure on the market. Stocks of major energy companies like Santos and Woodside Petroleum could be trading higher today. The leading gold mining stocks, including Northern Star Resources and Newcrest Mining, could also be trading higher as well. Alright then, that is just about all for now, but stay tuned with Kalkine TV for more live market updates. We'll be back with more news on markets, economies and diverse themes and sectors. Holly Shields signing off.